Park Jisoo heard the crying first dot. She was deep in the lower decks of Harmony's Rest, a space station that floated at the edge of known space. Her job was simple: fix things that broke. Pipes, wires, vents. The work was boring, but it paid well, and Jisoo liked the quiet. The station was home to many alien species. Some were tall with scales. Some were small with fur. Some had too many eyes. Jisoo had learned to mind her own business. In a place like this, that was how you stayed alive. But the crying was hard to ignore. It came from inside the air vent she was repairing. Soft, high-pitched sounds, like a scared animal or a child. Jisoo put down her tools. She leaned closer to the vent and listened. The crying stopped. Now there was only silence, but it was the kind of silence that felt alive, like something was holding its breath. "Hello?" Jisoo said quietly. "Is someone there?" Nothing done. She should have walked away. She should have finished her work and gone home. But something made her stay. Maybe it was the memory of being scared and alone when she was young. Maybe it was just curiosity. Jisoo removed the vent cover. She shined her light inside, and she found them. 3 small creatures huddled together in the dark. They looked like foxes, but their fur was silver, and their eyes were large and golden. They were shaking. The smallest one had tears running down its face. Jisoo knew what they were. Velith, a prey species, gentle and weak. Other aliens called them soft, easy targets. They had no claws, no teeth, no poison. In a galaxy full of predators, the Velith survived by running and hiding. "It's okay," Jisoo whispered. "I won't hurt you." The largest one, a female, pushed the others behind her. Her golden eyes were full of fear, but also something else: determination. She was trying to protect the smaller ones, even though she was just a child herself. "Please," the female said. Her voice was thin and tired. "Please don't tell them where we are." "Tell who?" The female's eyes went wide. "The Krath." Jisoo felt her stomach drop. Everyone knew the Krath. They were hunters, killers, 7 feet tall with armored scales and rows of sharp teeth. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they didn't need. Most species stayed far away from them. "Why are the Krath looking for you?" Jisoo asked. The story came out slowly. The 3 cubs were siblings. Their names were Myra, Bomi, and Tylo. They had been traveling with their family on a small ship when the Krath attacked. Their parents told them to hide. Then there was screaming. Then silence. The cubs escaped in a pod. They drifted for days before reaching the station. They had been hiding in the vents ever since, too scared to come out. "We have nowhere to go," Myra said. She was the oldest, maybe 10 years old by human standards. "The Krath are here. They're looking for us. They say we belong to them now." Tylo, the smallest, started crying again. He couldn't have been more than 5. His silver fur was dirty, and his ribs showed through his skin. They were starving. Jisoo looked at these 3 small, helpless creatures. She thought about what the smart thing to do was. The safe thing. She should report them to station security. Let someone else deal with it. The Krath were dangerous. Getting involved would only bring trouble. Then Tylo looked up at her. His golden eyes were so big, so scared. He reminded her of her little brother, back when they were children, hiding from storms. "Come with me," Jisoo said. She didn't know why she said it. The words just came out. She took the cubs to her small room in the workers' section of the station. It wasn't much. A bed, a table, a tiny kitchen. But it was warm and safe. She gave them food and water. She wrapped them in blankets. Tylo fell asleep almost immediately, curled up in a ball on her bed. Bomi, the middle child, sat quietly in the corner, watching everything with nervous eyes. Mira stayed close to Jisoo, still not fully trusting. "Why are you helping us?" Myra asked. We are nothing. We have nothing. The Krath will hurt you if they find out. Jisoo didn't have a good answer. She just shrugged. You're kids. You needed help. That's enough. Myra stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, some of the tension left her small body. Humans are strange, she said. Yeah, Jisoo agreed. We are. That night, Jisoo watched the newsfeed on her screen. The Krath hunting party had arrived at the station. Their leader was named Torvin. He was old and scarred, covered in trophies from his kills. He announced that he was looking for 3 Velith cubs. Escape property, he called them. Jisoo looked at the sleeping children. Property. Like they were things to be owned. Something hot and angry woke up in her chest. It was an old feeling. The feeling her ancestors had when they faced tigers in the mountains. When they survived wars and famines. When they refused to die. She turned off the screen. Then she locked her door. I'll figure this out, she whispered to no one. I'll find a way. Outside, the station hummed with life. Somewhere, predators were hunting. But in this small room, 3 lost children slept, peacefully for the first time in weeks. And one human woman had just made a decision that would change everything. 3 days passed. The cubs stayed hidden in Jisoo's room. Every morning, Jisoo went to work like nothing was different. She fixed pipes. She repaired machines. She smiled at her co-workers and kept her head down. Every night, she came home to 3 silver-furred children who looked at her like she was the only safe thing in the universe. It was getting harder to pretend. The Krath were everywhere now. They walked through the station like they owned it. Their heavy footsteps echoed in the halls. Other aliens moved out of their way, eyes down, shoulders bent. Nobody wanted to attract their attention. Jisoo watched them from a distance. She counted 5 hunters in the main group. They were huge, covered in dark scales that looked like armor. Their leader, Torvin, was the biggest. An old scar ran across his face, cutting through one of his yellow eyes. He wore bones around his neck, trophies from his kills. On the 4th day, Jisoo got a message from Yoon Do-yoon. Do-yoon was a medic who worked in the station's clinic. He was 28 years old, quiet, and kind. They weren't close friends, but they had shared meals a few times. He was one of the few humans on the station. His message was short. I heard something. Can we talk? They met in a small food area near the lower decks. Do-yoon looked worried. His hands wrapped around a cup of tea that he wasn't drinking. There's a rumor, he said quietly, about Velith cubs hiding somewhere on the station. The Krath are offering a reward for information. Jisoo kept her face calm. That's sad. Do-yoon looked at her for a long moment. He was smart. Too smart. Jisoo, I saw you carrying extra food yesterday. Enough for 4 people. You live alone. Jisoo said nothing. I'm not going to report you, Do-yoon said. I just want to help. Why? He shrugged. They're children. What else matters? That evening, Do-yoon came to her room. He brought medicine and bandages. Bomi had a small cut on her arm that was starting to look infected. Do-yoon cleaned it gently while the cub watched him with wide eyes. You're a healer, Bomi said. It wasn't a question. I try to be, Do-yoon said with a small smile. Mira sat in the corner, watching everything. She still didn't trust easily, but she seemed less tense with Do-yoon around. I have a question, she said suddenly. About humans. Jisoo sat down beside her. What is it? In the galaxy, there are 2 kinds of creatures. Predators and prey. Predators hunt. Prey runs. That is how it has always been. Myra looked at Jisoo with serious eyes. But you are strange. You don't hunt us. But you don't run from the Krath either. What are you? It was a good question. Jisoo didn't know how to answer. Humans are complicated, Do-hyun said. He finished wrapping Bomi's arm and sat back. A long time ago, on our home world, we were prey. We were small and weak. Bigger animals hunted us. But you survived, Mira said. We did more than survive. We learned. We made tools. We made fire. We hunted the things that hunted us. We tamed wolves and made them our friends. Do-hyun's voice was soft, like he was telling a story to children. Where she was. We became the top of our world. Not because we were the strongest, but because we never gave up. Myra thought about this. So you are predators now? Sometimes, Jisoo said. But we also protect. We take care of creatures weaker than us. We raise children that aren't our own. We save animals from danger. We build shelters for strangers. That makes no sense, Myra said. Predators take. They don't give. Like I said, Do-hyun smiled. Complicated. Tylo had been sleeping, but now he woke up and crawled into Jisoo's lap. He was getting more comfortable around her. Sometimes he held her hand when he was scared. It made her heart feel strange. The Krath will never stop looking for us, Myra said quietly. They don't give up either. But not like you. They give up on nothing because they want to own everything. The room was quiet for a moment. What happened to your parents? Jisoo asked gently. Myra's face went still. Bomi looked down at the floor. Tylo hugged Jisoo tighter. The Krath killed them, Myra said. Her voice was flat, like she had cried all her tears already. They wanted our ship. Our cargo. Us. Our parents fought back, even though they had no chance. They told us to hide. She paused. I heard everything. Jisoo felt sick. She pulled Tylo closer and put her other hand on Myra's shoulder. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. Our parents were prey, Myra continued. They had no claws, no weapons, nothing. But they stood in front of us anyway. They died protecting us. She looked up at Jisoo. Is that what humans do too? Stand in front of danger for others. Jisoo thought about her grandmother's stories. About Korean soldiers fighting against impossible odds. About villagers hiding refugees during wars. About ordinary people doing extraordinary things because it was right. Yes, she said. That's exactly what we do. Later that night, Do-hyun found news that made everything worse that the Krath had caught a Veloth merchant. He was old and had nothing to do with the cubs. But Torvin questioned him anyway. When the merchant said he knew nothing, Torvin broke his arm. Then he let him go, as a warning. They're getting frustrated, Do-hyun said. That's dangerous. Frustrated predators become violent. Jisoo stared at the wall. The cubs were finally asleep, all three of them piled together on her bed. They looked peaceful. She knew she couldn't protect them forever. She knew the smart thing was to give up. But when she looked at their small, trusting faces, she knew she couldn't do that either. We need help, she said. Do-hyun nodded. There are 17 humans on this station. I know most of them. Let me talk to them. You think they'll help? Do-hyun smiled. It was a strange smile. Sad, but certain. They're human, he said. They'll help. He left to make some calls. Jisoo stayed with the cubs, listening to their soft breathing. Outside, predators were searching. They were getting closer. Soon they would find this room. Soon everything would fall apart. But for now, 3 lost children were safe. And 1 human woman sat guard in the darkness, ready to face whatever came next. The Krath found them on the 7th day. Jisoo was cooking dinner when she heard the footsteps. Heavy, slow, getting closer. Her whole body went cold. Under the bed, she whispered to the cubs. Now, don't make a sound. The 3 children moved fast. They had practiced this. Mira pulled her siblings under the bed and pressed a hand over Tylo's mouth. Their golden eyes glowed in the darkness. Jisoo walked to the door and opened it before they could break it down. Torvin stood in the hallway. 4 hunters waited behind him. They were even bigger up close. Their scales were dark green, almost black. Their yellow eyes had no kindness in them. "Human," Torvin said. His voice was deep, like rocks grinding together. "We are looking for something. 3 Velith cubs. We have tracked their scent to this section." "I don't know what you're talking about," Jisoo said. Her voice stayed calm. She was surprised by that. Torvan leaned down. He was so tall that he had to bend nearly in half to look at her face. His breath smelled like rotting meat. "You are lying," he said. "I can smell your fear. And I can smell them. In your room. Right now." Jisoo's heart pounded. But she didn't move. "Leave," she said. Torvin made a sound. It might have been a laugh. "You are brave, little thing. But stupid. Step aside. Give us what we want. And we will let you live." "No." The hunters behind Torvin shifted. They looked at each other. This was not what they expected. Prey was supposed to run. Prey was supposed to submit. This small human woman was doing neither. "Do you understand what we are?" Torvin asked. He spread his arms, showing his massive body, his claws, his teeth. "We are Krath. We have conquered 100 worlds. We have killed millions. You are nothing. A soft, weak creature with no claws, no armor, no poison. What can you do against us?" Jisoo thought about her answer. She thought about her grandmother, who had survived a war when she was just a girl. She thought about her mother, who had worked 3 jobs to feed her children. She thought about all the humans throughout history who had faced impossible odds and refused to break. "Watch me," she said. Du Hyan appeared at the end of the hallway. He was running. "Jisoo," he shouted. "Get inside. Lock the door." Torvin turned his head slightly. Just a moment of distraction. Jisoo moved. She stepped back into her room and slammed the door shut. She hit the lock button. The door was metal, designed to survive emergencies. It would hold. For a while. "Come out, human," Torvin called from outside. His voice was calm now, patient. The voice of a predator who knew his prey was trapped. "This door will not stop us. We will cut through it. And then we will take what is ours. And we will hurt you for this insult." Jisoo stood in the middle of her small room. Her heart was beating so fast she could barely breathe. Under the bed, she could hear Tylo whimpering. "Jisoo," Myra whispered. "We can give ourselves up. Then they won't hurt you." "No." "But," I said no. Jisoo's voice was hard. "I didn't hide you for a week just to hand you over now. I don't care what happens to me. You are not going with them." The cutting began. She could hear the sound of claws against metal. They were tearing through her door like it was paper. They would be through in minutes. Jisoo looked around her room. She had no weapons, no armor, nothing that could hurt a Krath. She was exactly what Torvin said. Soft, weak, small, but she had something else. Something the Krath didn't understand. She refused to be afraid. No, that wasn't right. She was afraid. She was terrified. Her hands were shaking. Her legs felt like water. But the fear didn't control her. She stood on top of it, like a rock standing against a river. The door burst open. Metal flew across the room. Torvin stepped through, his hunters behind him. Jisoo stood between him and the bed where the cubs were hiding. "Last chance," Torvin said. "Move." Jisoo didn't move. Torvin reached for her. His clawed hand was big enough to wrap around her entire body. He could crush her like an insect. And then something happened. Jisoo growled. It came from deep in her chest. low and rough and dangerous. Her lips pulled back from her teeth. Her eyes locked onto Torvin's and didn't look away. Every muscle in her body was ready. Not to run, to fight. Torvin stopped. His hand hung in the air, frozen. His yellow eyes went wide. For a moment, he looked confused, like he was seeing something impossible. "What are you?" he whispered. "I am human," Jisoo said. Her voice was steady now, cold as ice. "And you are not taking these children." She wasn't bigger than him. She wasn't stronger. She had no weapons, no chance of winning a fight. But in that moment, something ancient woke up behind her eyes. Something that remembered hunting mammoths. Something that remembered standing guard against tigers in the night. Something that would rather die than abandon the weak. Torvin had hunted 1,000 species across 100 worlds. He had never seen anything like this. Prey ran, prey begged, prey submitted. This creature did none of those things. She stood like a mother wolf before her den, like something that had decided with absolute certainty that she would not move, ever. Even if it killed her. The hunters behind Torvin shifted nervously. They could feel it too. Something was wrong. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. "You're making a mistake," Torvin said. But his voice wavered slightly. "No," Jisoo said. "You are. You came into my home. You threatened my children. And now you're going to leave. Or I'm going to make you wish you had." Silence. The standoff lasted for 10 heartbeats. 20, 30. Then Torvin stepped back. "This isn't over," he said. "We will return. With more hunters. And you will regret this." "Maybe," Jisoo said. "But not today." The Krath turned and walked away. Their heavy footsteps faded down the hallway. Jisoo stood perfectly still until she couldn't hear them anymore. Then her legs gave out. She collapsed to the floor, shaking. "Jisoo!" Mira crawled out from under the bed and ran to her. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" Jisoo laughed. It was a strange, shaky sound. "I'm fine. I'm fine. I just need a minute." Tylo climbed into her lap. Bomi pressed against her side. All 3 cubs held on to her like she was the only solid thing in the world. "You didn't run," Myra said. Her voice was full of wonder. "You didn't even try to run." "No," Jisoo said. "I didn't. Why?" Jisoo wrapped her arms around all 3 of them. She was still shaking, but she was also smiling. "Because you needed me," she said. "And that's all that matters." Outside, word was already spreading. A human woman had faced 5 Krath hunters and didn't back down. She had growled at them. She had made them retreat. The galaxy had never seen anything quite like it, and the story was just beginning. The news spread fast. By the next morning, everyone on Harmony's Rest had heard the story. A human woman, 5 Krath hunters, a growl that made predators retreat. Most aliens didn't believe it. The Krath were unstoppable. Everyone knew that. No one stood against them and lived, but some aliens had seen it happen. They had watched from their rooms through cracked doors. They had seen the Krath walk away, and they had seen the human woman standing in her doorway, unbroken. Jisoo didn't feel like a hero. She felt tired and scared. The Krath would come back. Torvin had promised. Next time, there would be more of them. Next time, she wouldn't be so lucky. She needed help. Doyun had made calls. Now, one by one, humans started arriving at Jisoo's new hiding place. It was an empty storage room in the lowest part of the station. Cold and dark, but safe for now. 17 humans lived on Harmony's Rest. By sunset, all 17 were there. They sat in a circle on the metal floor. Some were young, some were old. Workers, merchants, wanderers. They came from different places had different lives, but they all had one thing in common. They were human, and children needed help. Jisoo looked around the circle and felt something warm in her chest. These people didn't have to be here. The Krath weren't hunting them. They could have stayed safe and quiet, but they came anyway. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for coming." "You don't need to thank us," said Beak Silman. He was 45 years old, a cargo hauler with arms like tree trunks and a soft voice. "Just tell us what you need." Jisoo looked at Dohyun. He nodded. "The Krath are calling for reinforcements," Dohyun said. "A warship is coming. It will arrive in 12 hours. When it does, they'll have 40 hunters. They'll seal the station, and they'll take the cubs by force." Silence. "So we fight?" said Han Tai-woo. He was 52, a retired soldier who walked with a limp. His eyes were sharp. "We set traps. We use what we have. We make them bleed for every step. We can't beat them in a straight fight," said Choi Yoonji. She was 31, a communication specialist with quick hands and a quicker mind. "They're bigger, stronger, tougher. In a real battle, we'd last maybe 5 minutes. Then we don't fight straight," Tai-woo said. "Humans have never won by being stronger. We win by being smarter." Kang Yuna raised her hand. She was the youngest at 26, a botanist who studied alien plants. She had never been in a fight in her life. "I don't know how to fight," she said quietly. "I don't know if I can help." "You're here," Jisoo said. "That's help enough." Yuna smiled. It was a scared smile, but a real one. The planning began. Tai-woo took charge. He had fought in wars before. He knew how to turn weakness into strength. "Predators expect prey to run," he explained. "They expect fear and panic. We give them the opposite. We give them ghosts. We make them afraid of every shadow." Yoonji would handle communications. She could hack into the station systems. Lights, doors, cameras. She could make the Krath blind and confused. Selman and 3 other workers would set physical traps. Nothing deadly, not yet. Trip wires. Collapsing panels. Locked doors. Anything to slow them down. Diane would set up a medical station. People would get hurt. They needed to be ready. And Jisoo? Jisoo would stay with the cubs. She was their guardian now. That was her job. The next few hours were busy. Everyone had a task. Even Yuna helped, using her knowledge of the station's plant systems to find hidden passages and air vents. While they worked, strange things started happening. The Velith merchant with the broken arm showed up. The one Torvin had hurt. He was old and scared, but he brought food and medicine. "For the cubs," he said. "And for you. What you did was... I have never seen such a thing." Then came others. Morani traders with their blue skin and 4 arms. Tilk engineers with their insect-like bodies. Small, timid species who had spent their whole lives hiding from predators. "We want to help," they said. Jisoo was shocked. "Why? The Krath will hurt you if they find out." A young Morani stepped forward. Her name was something Jisoo couldn't pronounce, but her words were clear. "All our lives, we have been prey. We run. We hide. We watch the strong take from the weak. We thought that was just how the universe worked." She paused. "But you showed us something different. You stood up. You didn't run. And you're still alive. Maybe we don't have to accept things the way they are." By midnight, there were over 50 aliens working alongside the humans. They moved supplies. They shared information. They watched for craft patrols. Jisoo sat with the cubs in a hidden room. Tylo was asleep in her lap. Mira and Balmy sat nearby, watching everything with wide eyes. "I don't understand," Myra said. "All these people are helping us. Why? We're nobody. We have nothing to give them. Jisoo stroked Taylor's silver fur. Sometimes helping isn't about getting something back. Sometimes you help because it's right. Because someone needs you. Because standing together is better than standing alone. Is that a human thing? Maybe. Or maybe it's a thing everyone can learn. Your parents stood up for you, didn't they? Even though they knew they couldn't win? Mira was quiet for a moment. Yes, they did. Then maybe it's not just a human thing. Maybe it's a hope thing. A love thing. A thing that lives in any creature that decides to be more than what the universe expects. The hours passed. The warship got closer. In the corridors, humans and aliens prepared for what was coming. Han Tai-woo stood at a map of the station, marking positions. They'll come in through the main docks. Heavy force. They'll expect to crush us in minutes, and instead, Yoonji asked. Tai-woo smiled. It was not a nice smile. Instead, they'll find that this station has become a maze. And they're not the hunters anymore. What are they? Yuna asked. Lost, Tai-woo said. Confused. And very, very unwelcome. In the hidden room, Jisoo looked at her strange little family. 3 alien cubs who had become her children. 17 humans who had become her pack. And dozens of prey species who had decided to stop running. Tomorrow, the real fight would begin. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, for just a few more hours, there was peace. Jisoo held Tylo close and listened to his heartbeat. Such a small sound. Such a fragile life. Worth protecting. Worth fighting for. Worth everything. The warship arrived at dawn. It was massive. Black and sharp, like a knife cutting through the stars. It docked at the main port and opened its doors. 40 Krath warriors marched out in perfect lines. Their armor shone under the station lights. Their weapons were ready. Torvin stood at the front. His scarred face was twisted with anger. He had been humiliated by a human. A soft, small creature. His hunters still whispered about it. Today, he would make things right. He activated the station speakers. His voice echoed everywhere. People of Harmony's Rest, we are here for 3 Velith cubs. They are Krath property. Give them to us now, and no one will be harmed. Hide them, and everyone will suffer. No one answered. The station was quiet. Too quiet. The Krath warriors looked around nervously. Usually, this was the part where prey started screaming. Where aliens ran and begged and gave up everything. Instead, there was silence. Find them, Torvin ordered. Search every room. Every corridor. Bring me those cubs and the human woman who took them. The hunt began, but something was wrong. The first squad entered the lower decks. The lights went out. They stumbled in the darkness, their heat vision struggling to adjust. When the lights came back on, 3 of them were trapped behind locked doors. The second squad tried a different route. The floor panels collapsed under their feet. They fell into a maintenance shaft and had to climb back out, covered in dirty water and shame. The third squad heard crying. Velith crying, high and soft. They followed the sound through twisting corridors. It led them in circles until they were completely lost. What is happening? Torvin demanded. His voice crackled over the radio. Where are my warriors? No one could answer. The humans moved like ghosts. They appeared, did damage, and vanished. Yoonji controlled the station's systems from a hidden room. She opened doors where the Krath didn't want to go. She closed doors where they needed to pass. She made the whole station work against them. Han Tai-woo led small teams through back passages. They set traps and laid false trails. They were never seen. The prey species helped too. Morani merchants gave wrong directions to Krath patrols. Tilk engineers sabotaged power lines. The Velith merchants spread false rumors that sent hunters to empty rooms. Hour by hour, the Krath's confidence crumbled. They were used to being the hunters. They were used to prey that ran and screamed. This was something else. This was war. Torvin finally found the humans' main hiding place. It was deep in the station's core, a cargo area with thick walls and only 2 entrances. His remaining warriors, 23 of them, gathered around him. "Enough games," he said. "We go in together. We kill everything that moves. We take the cubs and we burn the rest." They broke through the first door and stopped. Jisoo stood in the middle of the room. Behind her were the 3 cubs, pressed against the back wall. Around her stood the 17 humans. And behind them were over 100 aliens. Valith, Morani, Tilk, and a dozen other species. They didn't have weapons. They didn't have armor. Most of them had never fought anything in their lives. But none of them were running. Torvin stared. His warriors stared. They had never seen anything like this. "You are fools," Torvin said. "All of you. You think you can stop us? We are Krath. We have killed millions. You are nothing but prey." "Maybe," Jisoo said. She stepped forward. "But we're prey that doesn't run anymore." Torvin raised his claws. "Then you will die together." He charged. The battle was chaos. The Krath were stronger and faster. They had weapons and armor and centuries of killing experience. The first few seconds were terrible. People fell. People screamed. But the humans didn't break. Beak Soman tackled a Krath warrior, twice his size. He held on, even when claws tore his shoulder, giving others time to escape. Choi Yoonji used her control of the station to drop barriers and seal doors. Han Tai-woo fought with his fists and his fury, his limp forgotten, and the prey species fought too. The Morani used their 4 arms to bind Krath legs. The Tilk sprayed blinding chemicals from their bodies. The Velith, small and weak, threw themselves at weapons, giving others precious seconds to move. It was not a victory. It was survival. It was survival. Every moment bought was a moment won. Torvin pushed through the chaos. He was looking for Jisoo, looking for the woman who had started all this. He found her standing exactly where she had been, in front of the cubs, blocking his way. "Move," he said. Jisoo was bleeding. Her arm was cut. Her face was bruised. She could barely stand, but she stood. "No." Torvin raised his claw. "Then die." And then the cubs did something no one expected. Mira stepped out from behind Jisoo, then Bomi, then little Tylo. 3 small, silver-furred children stood in front of the massive predator. "Leave her alone," Myra said. Her voice shook, but she didn't look away. "You can take us, but don't hurt her." "Myra, no," Jisoo started. "She protected us," Mira continued, "when nobody else would. She's more brave than anyone we've ever met. She taught us that you don't have to run, that even prey can stand up, that even the weak can be strong." The little Velith's golden eyes were wet with tears. "You can kill us, but you can't change what she showed us, what she showed everyone." Torvin looked at the 3 cubs, at Jisoo behind them, at the humans and aliens who had fought and bled for 3 orphan children they'd never met before. For the first time in his life, Torvin felt something he didn't recognize. Fear? No doubt his whole life, the universe had been simple. Strong over weak. Predator over prey. Take what you want. Destroy what you don't need. That was the natural order. But these creatures didn't follow the natural order. They didn't act like predators or prey. They protected strangers. They died for children who weren't their own. They stood against impossible odds and refused to break. What kind of creatures did that? The battle around them had stopped. Everyone was watching. Krath and human and alien alike. Torvin looked at his warriors. They were hurt and tired and confused. Half of them were wounded. Several were trapped or unconscious. This was supposed to be easy. This was supposed to be a simple hunt. Nothing about this was simple. "We're leaving," Torvin said. His warriors stared. "Commander?" "I said we're leaving." Torvin sheathed his claws. "This is not worth it." "They're not worth it." But as he turned to go, he looked back at Jisoo one more time. His yellow eyes held something new. Not respect exactly, but something close. "What are you?" he asked. The same question from before. Jisoo straightened. She was battered and bleeding and exhausted, but she was still standing. "We're human," she said. "We protect our own." The craft left. Jisoo collapsed. Do-hyun was there in seconds, checking her wounds. The cubs surrounded her, crying and laughing and hugging. "You did it," Mira whispered. "You saved us." Jisoo smiled weakly. "We all did." In the days that followed, word spread across the galaxy. A story about a space station where predators were defeated, where prey became warriors, where 17 humans and 100 aliens stood against impossible odds, and it wasn't a huge victory. The Krath Empire was vast, and this was just one small station. But ideas are powerful things. And the idea that prey could stand up, that the weak could fight back, that protection was stronger than domination. That idea spread like fire. A month later, a Velith rescue ship arrived. Mira, Bomi, and Tylo would go to live with their extended family on a Velith homeworld. Jisoo stood in the docking bay, trying not to cry. Tylo hugged her legs. "I don't want to go." Jisoo knelt down and pulled him close. "I know. I don't want you to go either. But your family is waiting. They'll take care of you. Will we see you again?" Jisoo smiled. "Whenever you need me, I'll be there." Myra stepped forward. She had grown in the past month. Taller, stronger. She didn't look like a scared cub anymore. She looked like someone who had learned the most important lesson in the universe. "Thank you," she said, "for everything, for showing us that we don't have to be afraid." She hugged Jisoo tight. Then Bomi joined. Then Tylo again. The four of them stood there for a long moment, holding on. Finally, Mira pulled back. "Goodbye, Jisoo. Goodbye, Guardian of Strays." Jisoo laughed through her tears. "Guardian of Strays. I like that." The cubs boarded their ship. Jisoo watched it pull away from the station, watched it shrink until it was just a dot among the stars. Do-hyun appeared beside her. "You okay?" "Yeah." Jisoo wiped her eyes. "I think so. What now?" Jisoo thought about it. She thought about the galaxy, vast and dangerous, full of predators and prey. She thought about all the lost children out there, all the weak and frightened creatures who had no one to protect them. "Now," she said, "we keep going. The universe is big, and there are always more strays who need a guardian." She turned and walked back into the station. Outside, the stars burned cold and ancient. They had seen countless predators and prey come and go. They had seen empires rise and fall. But tonight, they saw something new. Something that had never existed before. Hope. And it was spreading. The end.